get these little dopamine hits from being like, oh my gosh, my email converted.
Such a good way to put it.
Got another Trustpilot review. It's working. But actually, they're your most engaged customers. And whenever we do email them, they drive the highest open rate, click-through rate, conversion rate.
I think it will come down to the key customer experience principles of right message, right person, right time.
What's your percentage split?
Oh gosh, it's now 56 to whatever the other number is. We have to mention AI though, don't we? I've spent years working with brands trying to help them connect with their customers. And what shocks me every time is how much intention goes in at the top and how much is actually lost by the time it reaches the person buying. That's what CX Life is about, bridging that gap. Each episode, I'll hand the mic to someone new, a different brand, a different perspective, but one shared passion, getting the customer experience right. Pull up a chair. This is CX Life. Welcome to the podcast, Naomi.
Thank you, Nat.
Nice to have you here.
It's so nice to be here.
I guess we should start with a little bit about you. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you come from?
Hi, I'm Naomi. I look after CRM, CX, subscription, retention, the whole shebang, CX, at Rheal Superfoods. And I've been there for a year. It was my year anniversary last year.
Oh, amazing.
Which has been amazing. And prior to that, I worked at Wild Nutrition, which is another wellness and supplement brand for, I think, maybe 3 years. And prior to that, I was at TK Maxx, TJX, which is HomeSense and TK Maxx. I was there for 6 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But you've honed in on the wellness space.
I have.
That's where you love to be.
I do like it. Yeah, it was a happy accident. I sort of got there. I actually did fine art at university.
Did you?
I don't know if you knew that about me.
No.
So somehow just fell into marketing straight out of uni at TJX and was in the CRM and loyalty space then and just sort of stayed. But wellness, yeah, I love it because unlike just retail where you're just selling a bag, not just a bag, bags are wonderful, but where you're selling a bag or some clothing, within the wellness space, things like supplements just mean so much to people. And it feels like there's a little bit more intention around the messaging, what you're putting out, the uptake from customers and how you're actually impacting their life, which I really enjoy.
So you moved from Wild Nutrition to Rheal.
Mm-hmm.
What carried over and what surprised you?
That's a great question. What carried over? The tech stack. Exactly the same, which is helpful. And also the empathy and the tone of voice that you need for your customer base. So really understanding, really thoughtful, I think like kindness first and how you interact with your customers at every single touch point. And then what surprised me was actually the community of Rheal, like the customer base are extremely active, engaged, really bought into the founders, Charlotte and Sean, and the founder story, and really passionate, which is really wonderful to be a part of.
Yeah. So Rheal they were on Dragon's Den, weren't they?
They were.
And founded by
Sean and Charlotte Ali. And they came, it came out of Charlotte's had health issues back in 2017 when they were at uni, when they met, which stemmed from celiac disease. So she had like extreme fatigue, low immunity, and they were just trying to find ways to improve her lifestyle and to improve the fatigue that she was experiencing. So they sort of stumbled across superfoods and started making their own blends. And it led them to, creating Rheal. So they sell a mix of superfood blends from like really clean, organic, whole ingredients. And we've recently branched into VMS as well, which is, vitamins, minerals and supplements.
Amazing. So in wellness, there's obviously a bit more sensitivity and some human approach that we need to take within the communications. How do you weave that in to your CRM CX experience?
I think it's so much about sounding human, but also not being really defensive as well. Say if somebody says that the product hasn't behaved how they wanted it to or hasn't solved a problem, you can't tell them that they're wrong. It's not like, oh, this top didn't fit me, so I want a new one, which is like, sure, replace it. It's like, okay, there are so many reasons why you might not have experienced what you're hoping to from this supplement at the moment. So first of all, you need to feel really heard. Say we just need to listen to you, but then we need to offer like alternatives to retain you, which aren't always discount led. So it could be just a chat with the customer care team, passing your queries on to like our in-house nutritionalists, and offering alternative solutions or ways to take a supplement. So I think that's what makes it quite different, is just like the way that you interact and just leading by listening, because so many times customers come to us saying that they haven't felt heard in other areas of their life. Say they've been to the GP and they haven't felt listened to, or they've been dismissed, or they've been looking for a solution for their health issues and they haven't got one. So I think that's the crux of it, is just being really kind in how you speak across all levels.
Yeah, quite right. And you're quite active on Trustpilot, aren't you? So how much do you use that to help inform your plans constructively rather than defensively?
Yeah, so an important thing about Trustpilot is that the responses, whilst they have to serve the person who's leaving the review, they're also going to be seen by like 10 potential customers. So they're serving two purposes, maybe like acquiring a customer, but also retaining one or appeasing somebody who is unhappy with their experience. So they can't be defensive, but they've also got to be quite informative. But you also really don't want them to sound like AI. So I think it's like a careful balance. But those reviews are so helpful in what we do. So we look at them daily. If we have like a bad review, it's not bad news. It's like good news, because there's so much we can do with it. So we recently had a few reviews for one of our new products, which was for menopause, where customers were saying they didn't like the taste of the product, which we didn't anticipate. So we quickly reviewed the taste of it again in-house, put together some recipes that we've now put into email flows, updated macros from the customer care team to go out with what to do if they don't like the taste of the product, how to incorporate it into their lifestyle in other ways. And we wouldn't have picked that up so early on in the launch phase if we hadn't had those reviews. So it is really, really helpful.
So you've got quite a heavy subscription base for Rheal. Let's talk about the subscription paradox, about the retention piece versus feeling locked in. How do you navigate that within all of your flow architecture, your communications?
I think it's one of the hardest things to do. So we want somebody to subscribe because we know that if they take our products for 3 months, they're most likely to see the benefits. Obviously, they also have higher LTV if they subscribe. Their tenure is stronger. It's so much better commercially. But also customers don't want to be locked in. So I think it is really tricky, and you have to position it as something simple, something that they can like opt out of very easily, or if they're not churning, at least that they can pause, swap, or skip as often as they like. And I think that's tricky as a business, because we so often see pausing or skipping as losing a customer, but actually so many of our customers aren't as habitual as they think. So they might have their coffee every day, but they don't always take their supplements every day. So the reason for customers churning mostly is because they have too many, and then they will then churn later. So if we can just encourage them to pause at those hotspots where we know they sometimes churn, and then we can engage them again later, I think that's the better place to be, rather than having to win people back or locking them in.
Absolutely. I think there's still so many brands that I've worked with or audited where they don't want to do that, because it feels like that's where they're going to feel the drop off. But it's such a friction point if you're not upfront with, here's your upcoming order, pause it or skip it, as you say, rather than trying to sneak it in under the radar. It triggers more churn than they realise.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm subscribed to a laundry tablet. Very exciting. But what they do really nicely in the subscription portal is you enter how many times a week you might use your like washing machine and how many loads. So you can kind of anticipate how much product you'll go through and how much you will need. And then if you are skipping or pausing, they'll ask you to like review it. Like, are you using it more or less than you think? So then you can update it. So then you're like, it's hitting your usage. I think that's such a nice idea.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
How much of your retention work is proactive versus reactive?
I think we would like loads of it to be proactive, but in truth, so much is reactive. And I think we have to have scope for that. Say we will plan out as much as we can in advance, but then you might have a week of sales where you see one product not having the acquisition you'd like it to have or having an increase in churn, then you need to respond to that. So I think there's things that you can get ahead of, like looking at your cohort analysis and what are the main areas when people are dropping off, or when are the best places to upsell to somebody. But then you need room to be reactive too. And it is hard, isn't it? Do you find the same?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's that constant pulse check. You can have all of your flow architecture done, but actually it's ever evolving, it's ever moving, and that bridge to data is so important. I don't know how anyone can't be comfortable in that space of looking at data and what we're doing.
Yeah, I always feel like you need to scope out like a day a week for reactivity and the rest you can try and plan ahead for, or just problem solving.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That's my flow working.
So Rheal has some good, strong values. They're B Corp. They've got sustainability angle. They've got obviously the founder story. How do you make sure that all of that brand storytelling is present within your customer experience?
Yeah, we try really hard to weave it in and out of everything. So we know that content which has Charlotte and Sean in performs really well. I think just because their nature is so kind and authentic and their story is very relatable for a lot of people. So we try and make it like the forefront. So when we're launching a new product, like we're often launching it because it really means something to Charlotte. So we just launched a new mama product today, and it was launched and developed because it was something Charlotte needed and wanted, but couldn't find it elsewhere. And I think that sort of pure like efficacy story, a founder story, feels real. And I think customers look for something that feels real over something sort of, I don't know, fake.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, weaving that into stuff, making sure that we have data content which has her explaining stuff. It has to look different to what's on paid and what's on social, because we're trying to retain customers or upsell them onto a subscription, onto another product. So sometimes the content that we're using is more educational, longer form, or trying to drive people to the website. So the values all weave themselves in quite organically there. But then even with our like customer care team, we try and make sure that the responses that we have for people, whilst we form them in advance, like anticipated macros, like they have a kindness in their tone of voice. So we have like brand guidelines which are distributed across the business, but they differ slightly across different channels. But at the heart of them, they represent who we want to be as a brand and who Charlotte and Sean are.
Absolutely. And it's a great story to tell.
It is.
How much do you take it on from your customer care team and the feedback that customers give them into your sort of campaign planning and your automations, everything?
Yeah, quite a lot. Like I think sometimes we have these really great commercial ideas as a business that we're gonna, I don't know, do a promotion where customers have to add this product to the basket, and then they're gonna add this code to the basket, and we're gonna drive this amount of revenue, and the ROI is gonna be huge. And then we put it into practice, and the customer care team are like, customers just didn't get it. We had so many tickets raised, and it wasn't a smooth journey. And then your best laid plans have not gone the way you want them to, and actually really matters. And I think that sort of smooth customer journey matters as well. So sometimes it's just understanding how to better improve a promotion next time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it is like how we position a recipe to get somebody to stick with a product that they didn't otherwise like the taste of, or try it in another way, or refer a friend. We also tag layers of our tickets that come free in anticipation of something that might be improved on in the future. So if a customer reaches out and says that they didn't like the product, or they've churned a product because they're pregnant, we can now reach out to them and say, oh, guess what? I know you reached out to us 6 months ago because you're pregnant, but we've just launched a pregnancy product for new mums and pregnant women. Would you like it? Yeah. And so it's just like those sort of thoughtful gestures as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think segmentation is probably one of my favourite bits, that and test and learning, which always surprises people because they sort of don't expect that to tumble out of my mouth when I say it to them. How much time do you spend within your segmentation building space, and how deep into it? Because we used to do that quite a lot, didn't we? We used to do the most nuanced segments, but actually how much time now do you spend there?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time, and it's really hard to get it right, I think. So often we like really, really tighten our segmentation to really specific audiences. And you see your click-through rate and your conversion rate go really, really high. But then you also see, or I see, maybe I'm doing something wrong and you can tell me about it. But flow revenue sometimes then drops off the back if we tighten our campaign segments too much, because we're not driving traffic to site, which isn't then triggering our automated flows. So I think we have to get the fine balance of making sure that the messages we're going out with are going to the right groups of people, so tight segmentation, but then you've got so much you're going to like a wider net.
Yeah.
So that you're still getting the sessions and getting people falling into browser abandonment flows and so forth. Is that what you find? Or?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that is so important to remember, that actually the stats could come down, the key metrics that we're always looking at improving, like the open rate and the click-through rate, but actually it's driving the wider piece. And we need the whole thing to work as an ecosystem rather than one isolated activation.
Great.
So it's almost as if I love my job. So yeah, I think that's definitely
what's on top of your test and learn plan.
I love testing and learning. We've actually got quite a lot of different things going on. It could be something isolated to CTA color, which we've done, which seems so small, but actually when you layer it on to a whole big test and learn rotation, it's the cherry on top. We could do subject line testing. We've obviously done time of day testing, but then full content switches, long form versus short form. The from name as well. We've actually done that with a client who, surprisingly, we've actually found that X from company has done really well over just from company. So it's quite interesting. But we're going to layer over the testing.
Hit the mic.
Going to layer over the testing per segment now. So it's not just one overarching test. It's actually isolated down to, are you buying as a one-time purchaser or are you buying as a subscriber? And actually the behavior from either cohort may be different. And that's what we need to make sure and keep understanding and keep testing. I don't think we can do a one and done test and then just put it to bed, because what's right now mightn't be right in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
There might be seasonal aspects. And we love to test. It keeps us at the forefront of, it keeps the data rich.
It does. Yeah, it's interesting what you say about testing against subs versus ATP, because traditionally in previous roles, there'd been like the view from the business, oh, don't email your subscribers, like of your monthly subscribers too much, because you're going to remind them that they've got a subscription and then they're going to churn.
Yeah.
Which is quite silly, isn't it? It is. But actually they're your most engaged customers, and whenever we do email them, they drive the highest open rate, click-through rate, conversion rate. Like they are the most loyal that we've got. So yeah, we don't do that anymore. We actually we're gentler maybe with our messaging, but we know that they will respond far stronger than a lot of our other segments.
I think it will come down to the key customer experience principles of right message, right person, right time. So long as you're nailing that, then it should be great.
I like that.
But it's I think it's much harder to actually execute than one might think. I think quite often it's overlooked as something that anyone can do. You know, just send an email out, batch and blast, and see what happens. Stick, but it's actually, there's far more intricacies to it than one might expect, which makes our lives really exciting. To be in the thick of it.
Very exciting.
We are nerds at heart, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we met doing the job. We know that we both love our jobs entirely. What's your favorite thing about your job? And then what's the hardest thing about your job?
My favorite thing is the people I work with and the brand I work for. I think it makes it so much.
Yeah.
I loved working with you when we used to work together. It makes such a difference, doesn't it, to the role? I also love Rheal supplements, our brand ethos, the culture that we've created, the way that no idea is a silly idea, the way we're able to like test whatever we like, sort of fail forwards, keep driving things and testing things. And I think CRM is also just really interesting. You get these little dopamine hits from being like, oh my gosh, my email converted.
Such a good way to put it.
I got another Trustpilot review.
It's working.
It's working, which is quite fun. And I do like that about it. And there's always something new to try or to do. It doesn't get boring.
No, certainly doesn't.
No, especially for you, I guess, with working across so many different clients. And I don't find it boring just working on the one account. So you must be having the time of your life.
Do you know what? I am. I think something like a hero moment for me recently has been where the best part of this year has been spent sort of evolving foundations for a client that we have. We've sort of moved it from campaign first to automation.
The dream.
The heavy lifting, steady the conversion rate.
So your percentage split?
Oh gosh, it's now 56 to whatever the other number is.
Well, you were just going to say 50-40.
I should have just done that. It's now 50-40, whereas before it was overwhelmingly tipped towards campaigns.
Yeah.
And actually the revenue being driven from automations is now greater, far greater than campaigns.
Teach me.
And the conversion rate is steady, it's predictable, it's lovely, it's working across all the other channels to make sure that top of funnel is nice and full. It then gives us and all the automations the buoyancy that they need to stay working. So then let's get into it. What's the hardest thing about your job?
The statistics, 23. 70? No. The hardest thing is when it's not working, I think, and you're trying to work out what's wrong. And when a whole day can just disappear trying to work out why your segment isn't putting the right people together, or
and orals
and Clavier, and also I think just finding time to do it all really well. Like the client you're talking about, is so easy to fall into campaigns first because that's what the business sees. That's sort of aligned with their content calendar, all the other channels. But yeah, like you said, the dream is automations doing the heavy lifting. And I think so often they can sort of get left to the side and you don't have the time to test everything you want in them, or you build so many of them that they get quite entangled and messy, or hit it. They get really entangled and messy, and you realize that people are receiving too many and it's crossing over, and you have to unpick it. But it's quite fun to work that out as well. So in short, I think it's quite hard to do it all really well. And you have to sort of set aside like a season where you're like, okay, for the next month, we're focusing on improving our automations, and campaigns are going to have to come secondary. And just sort of doing audits every once in a while just to review how stuff is going and what are your quick wins? What are your longer term solutions?
Comes down to key prioritization and managing stakeholders. I think that's probably the most diplomatic way to put it.
It is.
I would layer on top of that that sometimes it's really difficult when you're working with a stakeholder or a client and they want one flow to do 10 things. And actually we can't do it because then we're diluting the message, just making the whole flow far too intricate.
Too long. It's clipping.
Too long. Everything is, you can't identify where the, let's call it leaky gaps are. And it just makes things far harder than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Whereas we just want to make everything sing and we can isolate what's working, what's not working, and then address those points. Anything to make it into one big, huge spider flow is too complex and it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anyone.
No.
We have to mention AI though, don't we?
We do.
How do you use it? How is it integrated in your workflows, in your day-to-day life?
Well, Claude is my new best friend.
Other AIs are available.
Yeah. ChatGPT. But no, Claude is something we've started to use more now as a business. And it's been a whole learning, like teaching it rules, sharing our brand values of it, creating all the folders you need, like really trying to immerse into how to make it work effectively, and sort of do the admin bits that take up a lot of time. And it does work. It does save a lot of time. I think it also creates work before it saves you time. You have to sort of spend a lot of time with it. We also really want the content that we're producing to sound like us, which I think Claude can do quite well when you feed it your tone of voice and your brand guidelines and how you typically write, and loads of prompts, and you sort of have to become a master of prompts.
Yeah.
I'm still really thorough with editing what we put into it and what comes out and how we create, but it has saved a lot of time with briefing, copywriting, and just light touch audits within Klaviyo at the moment.
Yeah.
I think there's so much still to learn about it. Across all of our sort of channels and own channels. I think we're just dipping our toe in the water at the moment into more than just make this better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it comes with anything though, the training of AI. I think lots of people have this view that you plug it in and it will do everything and it will save a head count. But actually it's not. It's constantly training.
Yeah.
Constantly on the front foot with the evolutions of the tool, the tech, how Klaviyo and Digital, etc. would integrate into chosen AI tools and how we can use it for efficiencies. But that groundwork has to be there. For sure.
Yeah.
We can't expect it to just run on days.
No. He does act like a naughty robot. Like he'll say, "I'm sorry, I did make that up."
Hallucination.
Why did you do that?
I love it.
The naughty step. But it's so important to do. We have to keep up. We have to use it where we can, but stay true to your values at the same time. Yeah. We're looking a little bit more probably at like having chatbot AI agents, which use our tone of voice better, how we can drive like efficiency and automation. What can we do, particularly for reporting, actually? It's my favorite for reporting. That's where I think I value it the most.
Yeah.
Just saves time summarizing stuff, putting stuff into visual graphs, pulling things from all your different sort of data platforms. That's sort of, for me at the moment, the best use, of my time with it, and then sharing those findings to key stakeholders.
Yeah. That's great. There is a use for it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But it doesn't replace human intelligence. That's my line. Well, thanks, Naomi. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been divine having you here.
Thank you, Nat. It's been so much fun.
Thank you so much for watching CX Live. If you've enjoyed the content, like and subscribe, and see you at the next episode.